Page 7. Reconstruction of the early material culture. The Proto-Indo-European language is reconstructed on the basis of similarities between its daughter languages, and from this model language, inferences can be drawn regarding a Proto-Indo-European culture. The common words signify the type of climate, landscape, animals and birds with which the speakers of the Proto-Indo-European language were familiar, and also indicate the type of their settlements, social organization, rituals, and technology. On the basis of common words, Emile Benveniste has explained the genesis, evolution, and even transformation of the social institutions of the Indo-Europeans. But the method of arriving at an undifferentiated Proto-Indo-European language and deriving a Proto-Indo-European culture from it is criticized by some, including the British archaeologist Colin Renfrew. It is argued that words change their meanings in course of time, and those from non-Indo-European languages could have been adopted in the Proto-Indo-European language. But these criticisms are countered effectively. Linguistics can differentiate between the changing meanings of words and identify those borrowed from other languages. Whether the significations attached to the cognate terms differed from time to time and place to place requires consideration. Page 8. But so far, alternative meanings have not been assigned to Proto-Indo-European terms. Therefore, meanings of these terms known in later times are used to explain their import in early times in the same way as modern survivals of ancient rites and customs are used to bring out their significance in ancient times. Further, linguistic reconstruction is based not only on individual words, but on a cluster of linked words, such as in the case of wheel-related terms. Finally, if phonology, morphology, and syntax are found to be similar, it is a definite indication of real affinity. In such a case, linguistic similarities cannot be attributed to the convergence of different speeches. Para. Therefore, it is legitimate to pick up the common words found in daughter languages and reconstruct the original language on their basis. In the Romance languages, including French, Italian, and Spanish, important common words have been identified, and the vulgar Latin language has been reconstructed on their basis. When compared with the Latin found in early texts, this method of reconstruction has been fully vindicated. However, it would not be possible to infer all aspects of life, including forms of government and the character of the people from such reconstructions, either in the case of the Latin-speaking people or in the case of Proto-Indo-European speaking people. Page 9. In the latter case, the reconstruction of terms for ecology and production economy is especially important, so that the linguistic evidence may be checked with the evidence regarding the material culture now available in good measure. Further, the study of Proto-Indo-European culture should be based not only on the study of cognate words, but should also cover the common elements of culture shared by the earliest Indo-European texts comprising the Rig Veda, the Avesta, and the works of Homer. Para. The reconstruction of the original Indo-European culture and the climate and environment, however, does present certain difficulties. Words for tree which are common to both the Eastern and Western branches of the Indo-European language, number only half a dozen, the most important of which is the one for birch. The number of words for animals is also limited. A problem that remains is how these deficiencies may be made up. Para. The cognate words and early Indo-European texts attest the presence of a temperate climate, pastoral and farming activities, together with the use of metals, the use of the horse to draw chariots and to mount, male dominance, post-cremation burial, the cults of fire and soma, animal sacrifice including horse sacrifice, and above all, a common language. These elements are broadly shared by the Vedic and the Avestan texts, and many of them appear in early Indo-European texts. Page 10. To project the elements of culture found in Greece, Iran, and India between the 15th and 18th centuries BC to pre-15th century BC times does not appear to be a sound method. But basically, the Rig Veda, the Avesta, and Homer's works belong to an age when mainly copper seems to have been in use. Although the later portions of Homer's texts refer to iron, in general, ancient texts lay stress upon pastoralism cum agriculture, which obtained in Eastern Europe, Western Asia, Central Asia, and Northwest India in the Neolithic and Bronze Ages. However, the Bronze Age associated with the ancient Indo-European texts was not so advanced as the one in the Cretan, Mesopotamian, and Harappan cultures. The former lacked cities, class-divided societies, and full-fledged state systems. Iron does not seem to have been in effective use until 1000 BC. Para. The geographical area in which scholars look for the archaeological counterparts of the elements mentioned above comprises Eastern Europe and Central Asia. This area is more or less in continuation with the areas of India, Afghanistan, Iran, Iraq, Anatolia, and Greece. Since early times, it has been inhabited by various communities who speak Indo-European languages. Further, it suits the climate, page 11, flora and fauna, as revealed by the common terms. The method of looking for the elements of the Indo-European culture in the pre-1500 BC archaeology of Eastern Europe and Central Asia seem to be sound and logical. Para. In tracing the various elements of Indo-European culture, the possibility of exchange between it and the sedentary cultures of the Indian subcontinent, Western Asia, and even China cannot be ruled out. Markers of the Indo-European culture can also be found individually in other parts of the world. But we should consider the areas where they emerge in clusters and grow into cohesive cultural entities. The temperate region of Eastern Europe and Central Asia, in which copper, the horse, and other elements appear is fairly large, and the traits of the Indo-European culture do not unfold themselves simultaneously in its different sub-regions. Therefore, the causes and stages of expansion, together with the location of intermediate halts, need to be investigated. This exercise must, however, await further research. Here, we mainly consider the when and where of the cultural markers. In exploring the time and place of the early Indo-European groups, We have omitted ancient mythologies and folklore current among the Indo-European communities. Our main effort has been, page 12, to see whether these traits of culture detected in cognate words and ancient texts of the Indo-European language can be attested archaeologically. Para. Indo-European archaeology is a little obsessed with pottery. Grey pottery is associated with Indo-Iranians and painted grey ware, within brackets capital P, capital G, capital W, with the Aryans in India. Grey ware is found in South Central Asia, Iran, Afghanistan and Balochistan from 3000 BC onwards or even earlier. This ware is associated with the Neolithic cultures which generally appear in the Indian subcontinent not earlier than 3000 BC, except at Mehrgarh in Balochistan. It is possible that when the Indo-Iranian groups appeared in South Central Asia and its neighborhood, they adopted this ware and retained it even when they crossed the Hindu Kush and settled down in Pakistan, Punjab, Haryana, Western Uttar Pradesh and Rajasthan. Para. 4 or more types of pottery, including black and red ware, black slipped ware, grey ware, and painted grey ware, are associated with the Aryans in India in the 2nd millennium BC. In Europe, similarly, the users of 4 types of pottery between 5000 BC and 2500 BC are considered to have been Indo-Europeans. However, pottery alone can neither determine the original home of the Indo-Europeans nor their settlements. Page 13. Archaeological evidence about the Indo-Europeans is drawn primarily from the excavation of cemeteries, as is the case with the megalithic people in India. In prehistoric Europe and Central Asia, very few settlement sites are attributed to the Indo-Europeans. The situation is especially fraught with difficulties in the Indian subcontinent, for though the earliest Indo-Europeans practiced burials, the discovery of their graves in the subcontinent is confined to the Swat Valley.